It is time for our crappy culture. So I know when I think about our crappy culture, I immediately think about Ben Shapiro. No, I'm kidding. It's just that Ben wrote a piece that I thought it was a terrific piece on our site. The headline, if you want to look it up, because it may have fallen off the front page, the headline was "Female Rabbi Publishes the Single Stupidest Piece on Biblical Adam and Eve Ever Written. It's Not Close." And I read that and I thought, oh, Ben, you know, he's always calling people stupid and everything's the stupidest, this and that. I went on and read this piece, which first of all is hilarious. It's really well written. It's Shapiro at his Shapiroest, and it really is excellent. But I thought, oh no, wait, Ben was being like his St. Francis like generous. So he was being too kind to this piece. And then I went and read the actual piece to make sure he wasn't exaggerating, because I couldn't believe anything this stupid had been published. So the rabbi's name is Tamara Colton, obviously a female rabbi and a psychologist in Birmingham, Michigan. And she writes this piece about the Genesis story. And she starts out as a 47-year-old woman rabbi, which is the first thing, by the way. The left is always identifying themselves first, you know, as a black woman. You think, like, that doesn't make you right. You know, even if you're talking about being a black woman, you may be wrong, you know. So it's like, just tell me what you have to say. She says, as a 47-year-old woman rabbi, I've become emboldened by these brave young women of the Me Too movement to speak a truth that I've known in my heart for a long time, but have been hesitant to share. The time has come for me to step. This is not Ben's imitation. This is the actual piece. The time has come for me to step forward too. It's time we all acknowledge an overwhelmingly powerful source of shame and silence in the Bible. The story that begins the Bible, the first one that we learn in Sunday school, the founding story of man and woman upheld for thousands of years by Judeo-Christian religion, is actually the story of the first sexual assault of a woman. The woman's name is Eve, and the perpetrator is God. I want you to think about this, says she. Here is a young, beautiful, intelligent, naked woman living in a state of grace. She's hungry, so she does the most natural thing in the world, and she eats a piece of fruit. For following her instincts, trusting herself, and nourishing her body, she's punished. Her punishment, she will never again feel safe in her nakedness. She will never again love her body. She will never again know her body as a place of sacred sovereignty. This thing goes on, and it is, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that in the Bible, both Adam and Eve are forbidden the fruit of one tree in a lush, vibrant garden filled with fruit, right? She could have got one tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They are forbidden, and she eats it, and that's why they are punished. And he eats it too. She gives it to him, and he eats it too, and that's why they're. But this is sexual assault. It's all about God. And, you know, the reason I call this out for our crappy culture is this is something that is happening in churches across America. The Episcopal Church, and I am a member of the Episcopal Church, I'm sometimes sorry to say, but the Episcopal Church in the Diocese of Washington, D.C., and I was just in Washington, and every Episcopal church you go by has some Black Lives Matter thing or some gay rainbow flag or something like this. The Episcopal Church in the Diocese of Washington, D.C. passed a resolution last week to stop using masculine pronouns for God in future updates to its Book of Common Prayer. So Jesus called God Father. He's the Father, there's the Son, but they're not going to use masculine pronouns. My problem with it's like, if you don't want to believe God is male, I mean, I believe that God goes beyond male and female. I mean, it says he created man in his image, male and female. So I believe that God, but we know that our relationship to him is our relationship to him as the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. That's what we know from the Bible, from the religion. My problem with this is not that people want to believe this. It's that they want to hijack other people's religions to teach it. Okay. Now, listen, there are things that I have problems with in my own faith journey with the church. For instance, you've heard me say that I'm very accepting of other people's sexuality. I don't care if people are gay. I've worked with gays my whole life. People I've respected, loved, liked, who were my friends and who did tremendously creative work. I'm uncomfortable with churches that come down really hard on homosexuality as a sin, but I've never said, I don't know whether it's a sin because I don't do it. I just don't do it. But I certainly know that there are all kinds of sins like gluttony, like drinking, like lust and greed, sins that I participate in. And I don't see why, even if being gay is a sin, I don't see why the gay guy next to me should be thrown out or condemned, but not the fat guy on the other side of me, or me, who has a lot of lust in my heart. I don't see why, like, all those sins aren't put together and we're all here together as sinful creatures, But I would rather go to a church. And by the way, I think that there are arguments you can use with the Gospels to show that homosexuality is not necessarily a sin per se. That's another issue. But I would rather go to a church that was true to its understanding of the Gospels than a church that said, well, the Gospels say this, the religions say this, but. If your sentence begins with Jesus says, there shouldn't be a but in the next beginning of the next phrase, you have gone astray. The religion is not yours. The religion is the people's, and it's God's, So, I mean, you can make lots of different arguments. There are a lot of people object to the way I read the Bible. I get this all the time. We disagree about the way to read the Bible, but at least I'm reading the Bible. At least the words mean to me what they mean. And if I have an argument that seems to contradict what's in the Bible, I have to make that argument from the Bible and from logic and from reason. I don't just get up and declare that I don't like this anymore. And I just think that is such a poisonous, dishonest thing to do. If you don't believe, be leaving. If you don't believe, go. Let people worship, but don't ruin your temple or your church by letting your opinions and your feelings supersede the Gospels. Again, there are lots of different ways to read the Bible. There really are, that are completely honest and completely in keeping with what's in the books. That's why there are so many different sects and so many ways to disagree by honest Christians. But this is dishonest, and the fact that it's dishonest. It has no bearing in the sacred founding of the religion. If you don't like the religion, just leave. Don't destroy it. All right, what do we got tomorrow? Who's on tomorrow, Rob?
Hannah Sherlacker.
Oh, Hannah Sherlacker for Campus Reform. These guys who go on and they interview people on campuses and show how crazy the stuff is they are learning and what they believe. She will be with us. Be there then. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show, and we'll see you tomorrow. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling. Executive producer, Jeremy Boring. Senior producer, Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. Technical producer, Austin Stevens. Edited by Alex Zingaro. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. And our animations are by Cynthia Angulo and Jacob Jackson. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2018.